What's really good, y'all? It's your boy Aaron Bevins, the Millennial Entrepreneur, and we're coming to you live. We have a special episode for everybody today because I'm here with one of my favorite humans on the planet. I've said it before, I'll say it again and again and again. Bryson Duvall is somebody who has continuously not only inspired me, but has inspired many other people with his story, with his success. And we're going to be going over the theme, which is two skill sets you must learn in order to scale your business to the next level. And I'll be real with you guys. Bryson is the one who has the two skill sets prepared, and we're going to be discussing them. But these are two skill sets that he feels that every entrepreneur should learn in order to scale their business to the next level. I can't wait to get to that. But we're going to be going over some items that are a little bit emotional. We're going to be
Yeah.
going over, his story and some principles and lessons that we can take away as entrepreneurs, especially those of you in real estate and those of you who are looking to scale your wholesaling business. We're going to hear from Bryson in just a couple minutes right after the intro. Let's get it.
We made it, that's facts, ayy. We the greatest, that's facts, ayy. Prices raising, that's facts, ayy.
That's right.
But we paid it, that's facts, ayy.
I did.
They hate it, that's facts, ayy. Cause we changing, that's facts, ayy.
We did.
Can't blame them, that's facts, ayy. Cause we made it, that's facts, ayy. Cherry on top, that's a goat, yeah. Where you been, I wanna know, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. I know you wanna look up for this. Baby, let me turn you up a bit. You said you made it through hell and back. Give me the scoop, baby, tell the facts. Don't be shy.
I don't know if you listen to the lyrics, man, but this the intro, the lyrics to that song perfectly personify and encapsulate the Bryson Duvall story, guys. I
Fire.
have been really eagerly anticipating this story, this live, because we're gonna hop right into it. All right. So
Let's get
first
it.
of all, Bryson Duvall, how in the world are you doing today, my guy?
I'm good, bro. I appreciate you asking. We got a lot of things to do in the business, lots of responsibilities today.
Mm,
Got some files in closing, some issues coming up, with
sure.
timelines with closing deals as expected.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, I'm well personally and well in business as well, bro.
So first of all, where are you broadcasting out of?
St. Louis, Missouri, capital of the Midwest, if you didn't
Yee.
know.
In
Yeah,
case you
yeah,
ain't know,
yeah.
so yeah,
Yes,
Bryson
sir.
Duvall, my dirty, yeah.
Yeah. You already know.
I
You
love it.
already
I
know,
love it,
bro.
man. So Bryson, let's. I want people to know the stature of the human that's in front of us. So first of all, how old are you, and how long have you been wholesaling and working working in real estate?
Yeah, so I am 29. I'll be 30 in February. I've been wholesaling for a little bit over 3 years. So that's when I started doing some joint venture deals, getting into it, started a little bit of marketing. Uh, very, not very loosely at the beginning. I wasn't committed to like being a wholesaler or sure I even like was really that interested in it, but that's when I got my start.
I love it, man. So you're a rookie in the game, just I consider myself still a newbie, a rookie in the game, um, but
Absolutely.
by but by no means doing rookie stuff. I mean, you're making some major moves. Now, here's what's incredible. Those of you that know Bryson know that he's very articulate. He's well spoken. He's incredibly intelligent. He's insanely self aware, and you're going to see why with his story, and we're going to get into some practical instruction that all of us can definitely apply, because this man is a wealth of knowledge. I call him the St. Louis Don. He doesn't like it whenever I say that, but I do believe that is the case. And at the very least it's a prophecy. and so
Amen.
and so
I receive it.
Bryson, you weren't always the stable, confident leader that sits before us today. Talk to us a little bit about your background, and I don't want to just talk about who Bryson was in
Mhm.
middle school and junior high. I want to start with, you had like one of the lowest points in life already, and I want to start there. So talk to us a little bit about your background, and in case people didn't know, because this adds a lot of context to who you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think the major turning points going south for me, we're in high school, and I think one of the biggest things that led into that trajectory was me, getting kicked out of high school my senior year. It was a major blow to me, at the present moment of when it happened, and later really realized how drastic it was, or how consequential it was just in my life overall, as becoming a young adult, becoming a young man. So I already was not doing the right things, leading
Mm.
up to that moment, and led to me getting in trouble, getting caught with weed at school, getting kicked out, and it
You
was
were
big for
pothead.
me.
You were
Oh
pothead
yeah,
in high
yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was certified pothead, certified every single day, But it
Wow.
was a lot. It was a pretty big deal because I was also captain of the soccer team. I was
Mm,
one of like 10 black kids in the whole school. So there was a
mm,
lot of it was a heavy blow.
mm,
And I was already in kind of an identity crisis, is the best way that I can put it, because one side of me like wanted to be the student athlete, and I was verbally committed to play college soccer at the time. So, there was that part of me pushing that. But at that time, the lifestyle of using drugs and selling drugs had taken such a hold of me, and I had become so addicted to that lifestyle that it was a lot of internal conflict going on. So when I think that was a breaking point of like, I got kicked out. I saw it as a crossroads, like, okay, so that identity side needs to be buried, and I'm
mm.
going full force. I'm going full force into the drug dealing, the drug selling, the street Bryson, those type of ambitions, misguided ambitions. But yeah, that's when I did everything that I could possibly in my effort to bury the other identity and go into to the negative and feed into the negative self-image.
Let me ask you this, bro, because this was what's really interesting to me is you. It's actually a question. What was it that pulled you into that lifestyle, into the using and abusing and the street lifestyle? I mean, I was there too, so there is an
Yeah.
appeal. There is an appeal as a young person. But I mean, if you were somebody who was making good grades, you were somebody you had responsibilities, you were obviously somebody who's probably getting praised for being a leader. You're probably a
Mhm.
natural born leader. What is it that pulled you over into that other lifestyle?
Man, it's a combination of things, I mean, I originally started using, because I thought it felt good. I thought things were more
Mm,
fun. I thought I think
mm,
what kind of normal. I don't really feel like it was a huge level of peer pressure, or hanging around the wrong people. I think, I was kind of the wrong person. So
mm,
at the same time, because I have in a sense been a leader in different capacities, whether that was on the
mhm,
street, whether that was what I was doing. So it's like I never
mhm,
really had to be influenced much by other people. It was like Bryson's gonna do what Bryson does. People want to come along with me, great. If they don't, awesome too. So
mhm,
that appeal, I think, for the street type of activities, it was that appeal of power and control and uncertainty. I was kind of
mhm,
attracted to that. Then, I wasn't so attracted to the environment of being in Catholic private school, anyways.
mhm,
So that was just it fed my entrepreneurial spirit. It fed my uh, the the desire to create, to do something for myself, I think.
Interesting. That's
And yeah,
interesting.
I was really attracted to it because it's like, I made a ton of money in that life. People that
Mm,
know me probably are on this live right now. Knew how I moved around when I was, in my younger years. But at the same
mm,
time, it really wasn't even about that. I wanted to accumulate a bunch of money, but it wasn't about like what I was going to do with the money. It was just the fact that I could do it. and I did it
Mm-hmm.
on my terms, so that was a huge attraction to me.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. So that's very, very interesting because I've heard a saying, and it went something like this: that A students end up being some of the best employees. B students end up being some of the greatest um, like B and C students end up being some of the greatest entrepreneurs, and
Hmm.
D and F students end up changing the world.
Amen.
And the reasoning behind it is A students tended, and by the way, this is just average, right? That people
Hmm.
that I've heard, A students tended to be individuals who follow instructions really well. Well, everybody knows that most entrepreneurs are the exact opposite. We do not follow instructions well. We want to create our own lane. We see a problem and we run towards that problem, which that's not what most people do. We run towards a problem. We're okay being uncomfortable and uncertain and creating our own lane. So that's really interesting, bro. I've known you these years, and I never really put two and two together. So that's very, very interesting to me. Let's talk about the a low point and the enough is enough moment, man. So because I want to get into all the success that you're having now. You're an incredible inspiration to me and other people in the community. But so you start drifting down this other lifestyle. You're burying away the old, soccer, A student Bryson, and now
Right.
you're in this new lifestyle. Talk to me about the rock bottom moment, and how did you get out of that?
Yeah, man. So I feel like the next 4 years after high school, like it so much happened in those years, so quickly went downhill so fast. Many events happened, but really, it led to me using it to a different extent. It was no
Mm,
longer a partying thing. It was a different mode of destruction where it was like
mm,
I wasn't having fun in it. I was using to bury pain, to
mm,
just to deal with life on life terms. I couldn't do that, so I
mm,
had to have something to self-medicate. And
mm,
those past, feelings of grief towards my decision not to play college soccer and all this stuff started to come up, and I felt like I was a failure in a sense. So
mm,
I, started progressively using worse and much more harmful drugs, that's for
mm,
sure.
mm.
And it led me to failing out of school. I think I technically failed out of college 4 times, I think.
Dang,
And
dang.
like fast too, quickly.
Mm,
Two different institutions. Even when I came back to St. Louis, failed out of the school that I graduated from as well. And legal consequences started to happen when I came back to St. Louis, and I got on probation for leaving the scene of an accident, bad situation. And yeah, I think I went to drug treatment center, I think about 6 times in the matter of like 2 years.
snap.
So that was back in St. Louis. And yeah, man, it went through, and then legal trouble was happening simultaneously, through
Mhm,
this,
mhm,
getting
mhm, mhm,
run-ins with the law,
mhm,
picking up a case. And then, I got to the point where, yeah, I was living so wicked, so, I mean, I was counterculture before, but I was living wild out here, bro, so,
yeah, yeah,
developed a life-changing heroin addiction. And
mm,
I digged myself a hole where I felt like I was really the only one in it, even though other
mhm,
people were obviously suffering a little bit with me, especially the people closest to me, and I was kind of
yeah,
dragging them along with me. But
yeah, yeah,
I felt completely alone. And then got into some more trouble where my family was involved, and had the police and detectives task force actually came to my family's house, while I
mm,
was while I was in treatment. But
mm,
I was able to get the most favorable situation in the court of law to complete a drug treatment center and or complete a drug program inside of St. Louis County Justice Center County Jail. So I wish I could say that, that was a turning point for me, getting all the legal consequences. But what I've learned about myself is that I am not that motivated to change just because of like risk and consequence, you know?
Mm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
for me, the only factor that motivated me at the time was an extreme spiritual void and a level of pain that I was just tired of, so
Mm.
I went back to using after I got out of county jail, which is
Goodness.
crazy to some people, and just dodged a whole prison sentence, like 5 to 7 prison year sentence is what they probably would have sentence. And then so I had that still hanging on over my head on a new probation sentence. And it's pretty much like, yo, if you like talk to a cop, we're sending you to prison, is what the court of law told me. But yeah, man, I couldn't stop. I was so addicted to that
Mm.
lifestyle. That's what brought me back
Mm.
to using. I didn't use first. I
Mm.
got back into the lifestyle,
Mhm.
allegedly. And it led back to me using, and then coming to the ultimatum of like, probation officers like, yo, you go to treatment today or I'm sending you to prison, so I went to
So
treatment.
so let me ask you this. This is so deep. This is so deep to me. Um, you were in rehab
Yep.
when the task force SWAT team raids family's house. You
Mom and dad.
dodge mom and dad's house.
Mhm.
You dodge a prison sentence, get out, go back to the lifestyle, and find yourself back at ground zero. What was the moment? Because I want to get into your successes
Absolutely.
and what you're doing right now, but I want to know what was the moment that you were like, enough is enough. And by the way, I read this. I'm so glad we're doing this interview right now because I read this in a book that I'm reading this morning. I was doing my morning reading, and it said that humans don't change unless you have what the author called the enough is enough moment, right?
Yep.
Where I've associated so much pain with this that I said, no matter, I'm willing to go through whatever pain it takes to get out of this because I can no longer deal. It's either death or that, and I'm going that way. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so I can't say it was just one moment, honestly.
Sure,
when
sure,
when
sure.
I when I went into the my PO's office, and she looked at me and was like, yo, you got one more chance, you got to go to treatment today, or I'll call
Mm,
somewhere and get you into some type of outpatient, anything, you got to go immediately when you leave here. And
mm,
honestly, at that moment, I was so relieved because I was exhausted, bro. You know what I mean? I was exhausted.
mm,
Like, wow. I was like, cool. I wasn't fighting. Every single time up to that, I go there, and they say go to treatment. I'm like, let me delay that for like 3 months. I ain't really trying
mm,
to go to treatment right now or do anything
mm,
like that or just
mm,
stop
mm,
using. But then I
mm,
was like, bet, and I thought, and I had to, the only program available was outpatient, so I couldn't get locked away somewhere where I just didn't have access to drugs or anything like
mm,
that, or my own behavior. I had to go there every day, leave there every day, go there every day, leave there every day, survive the weekend without getting into trouble or using. But it was a lot easier for me to do because I was actually ready. I was ready for a change,
mm,
so I didn't resist it where I had to like, oh wow, how am I gonna do that? I was like, no, it's we got to this point, it was I was completely defeated, spiritually defeated, depleted.
mm,
You know what I
mm,
mean? Where it was like,
mm,
up those moments, those months leading up to that conversation with her, it was like the desperation of an addict. You know what I mean? Where it's like I
mm,
didn't have any money left then. You know, it wasn't the Bryson of all like, okay, I got money, but I'm also an addict type of thing where I don't need to steal for drugs. I got money on deck. You know, those times were past. This was ground zero addict. Like, yo, I'm looking for, you know, pebbles on the ground, trying to see if I can get high or find some residue laying somewhere. The lowest part of my addiction. So it was a relief and a blessing for her to step in to the situation for sure.
I love it, man. I love it. So I want everybody who's watching this to, whether or not you've ever suffered with a drug addiction, Bryson's story is so powerful for all of us as humans because we're addicted to something. It
Facts.
might be I'm addicted to my beliefs, my lazy beliefs.
Mm,
It might be that I am addicted to food. It might be that I am addicted to something that is holding me back, but it's something that's keeping you from achieving the level of success that Bryson's at right now. So this story is so important to me, man. I love hearing it every single time because I get the same butterflies and excitement, and my love for this man increases just a little bit more every time I hear the story. I love it so much. So, Bryson, talk to me a little bit about, okay, you start recovering, you're
hmm
consistently going to the program, day in day out,
hmm
and you finally have got a little bit of stability in your life. So that's where we are now. You've gotten a
Yep.
little bit of stability. At what point do you find real estate and decide that this is the path that you're being called to? Like, at what point did you find this and decide that real estate was going to be what you were going to do?
Yeah. So actually, believe it or not, during those months of really bad addiction, I was actually enrolled at the community college. You know,
Mm,
so I'm going to classes. Like that summer before I went to treatment, I somehow got a B in calculus, like in the middle of my drug addiction, bro. One of my
respect,
claim to fames. One of my claim to fames. Be in calculus, baby. Be in calculus.
respect.
High as a kite in there, crazy. But
Wow.
so I get out of treatment. I go straight back into that January. I go straight back into school full time. But keep in mind, like I had gone. Technically, I'm supposed to be in a freaking junior in college based on like how long I've been in college, and I had a ton of credits, but I had such a bad GPA that I had enough credits for an associate, but my GPA was so bad that
Mm,
UMSL, the school I graduated from, they were like, bro, like you got to go and like do a whole associates again
dang.
before we can admit you. So I'm like, yo, and keep in mind, I don't like school at all, never have,
Mm,
you know.
mm, mm.
So, but I'm on this trajectory. It's like I'm trying to do just complete something to be productive. I ain't talking about getting rich. I ain't talking about being successful entrepreneur. It's like, yo, I got to do something with my life. My family is supporting me again. We're back connected. So that's what I had to do. So I go back go backwards in my education path, and I don't even have a license. You know, I'm like getting rides from my mom, catching a bus, get my dad picking me up, all types of stuff like that. Friends
Mm.
giving me rides. So I go back there, and I'm doing it, and I'm grateful. So I'm just doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not like happy. I don't like school or anything like that. I don't really have any goals as far as a traditional um career really. I'm just like, okay, whatever, I'll figure it out. So I finally get back to UMSL after like a year and a half. I go back to UMSL, and I'm like technically like a junior now. And I start doing classes, and all these people are talking about their career plans, all that good stuff. I'm talking to advisors, and I'm just like, bro, like, none of this stuff is resonating with me. None of this stuff is something that I want to do. Like, if I'm gonna be honest. So I had a friend, that I knew through other friends, and I saw on his Facebook something about him like flipping contracts or something, and something with real estate, and I was like, but keep in mind, like I was not like on social media how I am now, so like I didn't know about like Maxwell, I didn't know any people, like I didn't know what
What year
wholesaling
is this,
was.
by the way?
This would have to be maybe like 2017.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
something
2017.
like
Okay.
that. Yeah, I
Okay.
would say like
Okay.
2017 because I got
All
clean
right.
into November 7th, 2016.
Okay.
So yeah, this was like the year after that, you know.
So
So
2017, you're seeing a friend, an associate's post on Facebook and
yeah,
talking about wholesaling. Uh-huh. I'm
yeah, and I'm
listening.
like, what? It's like he's not like he's the phrase wholesaling isn't being like used, you know, like how it is now.
Yeah.
I'm not friends with the same people I'm friends with now, so it's not like
Yeah.
trending on my page 24/7
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. So I
Yeah.
hit him up. I keep on watching him. I hit him up like months later, and he's like, yeah, I got a little course I can teach you. You know, just go to the little course. It's free, you know, but it'll give you like the basics rundown of like wholesaling, right?
Mm,
So I'm like,
mm,
okay, I check it out, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, this is dope. You can make this money doing this, blah blah blah. It's sales intensive. It's kind of a
mm,
people business. I get that. So I'm like, so how like what should I do now? You know, and we
mm.
were cool. You know, like he was invested in like seeing me do well and all that. So he was like, bro, you can like pull a list and start marketing pretty much. You know, and I was like,
Mm,
huh?
mm,
You know, I'm like, okay. And I didn't really I had some money saved up. I a lot of people were being successful in direct mail at that
hmm.
time. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember I sent out a direct mail campaign of like my life savings at the time. No big deal. Like
Yo, I did that too, bro. I did that too.
my life savings, not thinking like, oh, I should send batches repeatedly. I'm like, nah, I'm about to
All
send
that
this two
was.
racks out and then we about to be rich, dog. We about to come up overnight, right? So I send that out. I get like a couple leads back, and
Mm,
I call up the same guy, David Dodge. He's in our market. You know, he's a friend of mine now, but he's like, yeah, let's run an appointment, or like, you go to the appointment, let me know, I'll help you out to get an offer. And like, I remember I made an offer, and the guy accepted an offer that was like $3,000 more than mine. So I'm like, okay, this is like, it's still some proof of concept. Like
yeah, yeah.
we're here, you know.
Mm,
And then, but I didn't have any money left to have a business. So he was like, so I was like, bro, like, what can I do? And he was like, you come in my office and call Zillow leads if you want to. You know,
wow.
you can call Mojo Dialer leads if you want to. Then I
By the
saved
way,
up
by
some
the
money,
way,
started doing,
really
yeah,
quick, really quick. Here's first practical takeaway because I do want to get into practical instruction. We're going to get into
absolutely.
practical instruction for those of us wholesalers that are listening to this. First little takeaway, y'all, before Bryson continues with his David Dodge story and the calling Zillow leads. Never spend all of your money on your first campaign. I made that same mistake, right? Don't spend if you have $2,000 tucked away, don't spend all 2,000 in the first campaign because it takes repeated calls. It takes if you're doing cold calls, it takes 8 to 15 touches to get your average contract, right? And if you're doing mailers, it takes 8 to 12 touches before these people will call the lead, before they call the mailer back, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Hmm.
this is a beautiful practical lesson, friends. So if you have $2,000, why not spend 500 on the first
Hmm.
month, and then 500? That's 4 months now of marketing for a smaller batch of people, and it increases your odds. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So so David Dodge invites you over, says, hey, you can call Zillow lead. So what happens from there?
Yeah, so like I'm calling Zillow, I'm calling Craigslist, like for rent.
Mm,
Like the spoiled wholesalers of today just get a list on PropStream and they got a business. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
But so I was just following direction, man. I didn't know. So I had a
mm,
couple, got some more money. I'm working for my dad at the time, so I'm getting a little paycheck, and then I'm
mm.
buying bandit signs, and I'm paying my mom to take me, like out at Friday night at 2 a.m. to put out bandit signs in South
Wow.
City and North County and all that stuff. So, you know, but at the same time, I was also going through so much like personal growth and development and also pain at the same time, because I'm like,
Yeah.
in this huge healing phase. Everything's new to me. I feel like I'm a kid again. Like I don't know anything. I'm trying to figure out life. I don't know like what I even like to do, what I really want. None of that. I had very little clarity, but I'm like, my hustle juices were coming back. That's
Yeah.
what was there,
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
coming back. I'm
Yep.
like, I got to make something shake, right?
Mhm.
So, I started to realize that I quickly realized that I needed to develop personally to be successful.
Mm.
I couldn't, because I'd put out bandit signs, and I'd stop. Then I'd go
Mm.
and start doing that thing and say, yeah, my head would tell me, this isn't really real like that. Like,
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
aren't out here like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is not as easy as it seems. And it's not. It's definitely not as
Mhm.
easy as it seems. Still, I
Mhm.
still believe
Mhm.
that full force.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
so I took little periods off here and there, and I wasn't consistent. Like, I didn't have a schedule, I didn't have a plan or anything like that.
Mhm.
And I remember, yeah, I did my first deal with him. I found a Craigslist lead, and I was working for my father at the time, no car. So I'm
Okay.
like, Dave, where you at, bro? I got a hot lead. Like, where can you go meet the guy at the house today, right? And he
Mhm.
hits me up. He calls me back like 2 hours later. He's like, yeah, got the contract in hand. And a couple weeks later, he closes and puts I think he put like a $2,000 check or something in my mailbox. He's like, yeah, well, we got a first deal. I didn't know what happened. Like, I didn't learn too much from it, but I'm like,
Okay, so
it's
let
real
me
now.
ask you
I
this.
got money.
Let me ask you this. You close your first deal, $2,000 in your mailbox.
Yep.
What what
1800.
what
1800, between 18 and 2000. Yeah. Let's call it 2000.
what's the emotions that go through your mind? What's happening inside you right now when you realize, yo, those effort, this is real. This is money. This is my money here. What did that do for you?
Yeah. I want to say that I wish I could say that it did more,
Okay.
but at,
Okay.
at the same time,
I love
like I
how
said,
real I
that
love how real
I,
Bryson is, man.
bro, like, I wish I could say like, yo, cool, I'm a wholesaler now, but I did not
Uh-huh.
identify with that at the time. I was like, cool,
Mm,
it works. I'm just not. I wasn't really emotionally involved with that. Like, I also was just
interesting.
not emotionally like present much at all in general.
Mm,
So I think a lot of the just my own personal where I was kind of affected my reaction to that,
sure.
because
Sure. Sure.
I really wasn't like as excited as like people seem, or when they do their first deal or get any type of results from their business. So,
Mm,
I still went through that period of inconsistency there, and then I started doing like a deal a month with them. Then they would buy the deal, bring the buyer, and I would work inside of their CRM and just like do all my follow-ups within their Podio, and they would help me analyze the deals, and I'd set appointments for Dave or go on appointments with them. And I started to piece things together, but it took me a while to realize, it's like, bro, this is like a day in, day out thing, like, to to get results. You know what I
mm.
mean?
That's
Like,
so
it
real,
it
bro. That's
finally
so
hit me.
real.
It's like, I mean, I love to say, yeah, people with full-time jobs or other things can be a wholesaler and do this as a side hustle, but like, I don't know. Like, only half of me believes that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm just a side hustle wholesaler. It's like, yeah, you might
Mm,
be able to make an extra 20K, 30K a year, which is like
mhm,
amazing if you had a job. Like, that's still life
mhm,
changing, 100%.
mhm, mhm,
But for me to really make it what I wanted to do, where it was realistic, because I'm seeing it the money, but I'm also realizing, like, I'm in school, like, okay, so how am I going to just be a full-time wholesaler? I
mhm,
didn't think
mhm,
that, I didn't see that as my future until, it got to a point where I had some consistency, and I finished
mhm.
school, and I was getting across, so I did done decent amount of deals, I guess maybe like 10 total or something.
Mhm, mhm,
And I'm
mhm.
coming up on graduation. All this stuff is happening. I'm trying to figure out a job. I also have a felony, so it's like some things are limited.
Yeah.
About my job possibilities. So got a business degree, and then I got a job opportunity through a friend of mine who her dad was at a company, and they gave me a chance, and they're like, yeah, you can start. It was a low salary, in project management. And I never wanted to take the job. I had resistance ever since I went, even contacted them about the job, but I knew I had to do something. I
Mhm.
wasn't going to graduate and be unemployed or go back to working with my father. That wasn't happening. you know
Mhm. Mhm.
so I'm grateful for my father's job. If he doesn't have Facebook, but definitely grateful for it. But I was trying to make a little bit more than that, and I took that job, and I was regretting the decision from day one. You know, but at the
Mm.
same time, I accepted it because I was not willing to commit to myself at that time. I was
Mhm.
not willing. I was not willing to be focused every day. I didn't believe in myself to do that because I hadn't shown myself that.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to just go from day one, like, yo, I'm a committed business owner. I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't have enough evidence there. And, I remember right around that time I had met Christina for the first time, like as I'm about to take this job. I had just graduated literally, and I'm about to starting the job. And, we spent a ton of time together. And I couldn't, she just asked me about like my life and what I want. I tell her my story, and we're like emotionally connected in this conversation very quickly. But I couldn't tell her anything about what I wanted, or like, I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
I'm going to take the job. And she could just see that I just looked defeated. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
I'm going to take the job, blah, blah, blah. And, we started to get emotional in this conversation because she's like, yo, like, she saw the potential in me that I wasn't fully like ready to realize. And it really hurt.
Mm.
It you could see that it made her emotional and almost like angry.
Mhm.
And she's like, bro, like, you're selfish to be thinking like this. You're selfish to be
Mm.
thinking that like so small, like, oh, I'll just accept this job, even though I'm thinking
Yeah.
scarcity. I'm thinking
Yeah.
scarcity. She's thinking
Yeah.
abundance. She's like,
That's
what?
right.
They're about to give you $37,000 when you could go out there and commit for a couple months and make $37,000 in one deal, you know? And I'm like, huh?
Yeah. The power of
But
proximity, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
absolutely.
I'm listening.
Absolutely. Forever grateful for that. Like, that's why she's such a dear friend to me. That's sis, the family always will be. Because she saw that in me, and like she saw this the first day we met, so it was something special where I just left there like, what just happened? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
so this is all in my head almost every day at the job. I already accepted the job position, but I'm like, oh my God, so we go through, I go into the job. I'm starting to become a little bit more consistent. I don't have a full plan, but starting to still doing text campaigns, all this stuff, but not consistent. I don't have like a real plan or anything like that. Still doing a couple deals and stuff. And I make maybe, I don't know, I probably made like a total of like $20,000 maybe that year
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
side, like after from like May till the end of that year. I think I made about $20,000 wholesaling at my job. I go down to um yeah, so in the midst of that job, I really started to internalize my future, and I'm grateful for the job. Like I said, I don't regret taking it at all, because I started to realize the lives of all the people around me in the job, what they were making, how they felt when they came to work, all the emotions and how they were stressed out. And then I found out my supervisor wasn't even making six figures, and I'm like, yo, like you run the whole department, the division of a company, you know what I mean? Like, you got master's degrees and you out here. And I'm like, yo, like, okay. And I found out the COO ain't making six figures, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Oof.
cool. I was like, yeah, say
Oof.
less. I was like, cool,
Mhm.
okay. So all these little micro moments are like just dinging in my head,
Yep. Yep.
Every day
Yep.
there's a stressful situation, something coming in. And then, I just came to the point. I remember when I had saved up that money, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go to Wholesaling Elite and
Mhm.
ATL, because I'm like, okay, Christina's gonna be speaking down there. I'm like, cool, I need to get around some people, right? You know what I mean? Put myself in an
Mhm.
environment.
Yep.
Went there and basically decided, I'm like, yeah, I need to formulate a plan to leave my job,
There you go.
you know. in the next few and do my year here, and I got to formulate a plan. So
Second takeaway, real quick. Let me stop you real quick because we're about to get
yep.
into some of the juicy stuff. My second takeaway for everybody who's listening to this is y'all are hearing this story, right? My man hits a low point, drug addict in one of the worst ways, and even in recovery, emotionally numb. I don't know if y'all are catching this the way I am.
Yeah.
Even in recovery, y'all, emotionally numb to the point where it's you can tell that his future is foggy even to himself, until this is takeaway number 2 for me, until he gets in what I call proximity. Proximity means within the proximity of individuals who are thinking abundance, within the proximity of people who are thinking about the future, people who are enthusiastic about what they're going to do. And Christina Aguilera speaks life into this man and says, you are selfish, Bryson. You're selfish for going and thinking that you got to take this job that's going to pay you $37,000 a year when you can come out here and make that in a couple months if you just apply yourself, someone with your type of potential. Then he goes to Wholesaling Elite, where or We Live, wasn't it? We Live.
I went. That's what I meant. My bad. I said the
Yeah.
Facebook group. We live.
Yeah.
You know what I meant. Everybody
Yeah,
else, yes, it was We Live in Atlanta.
He goes to We Live in Atlanta, and then he says, "Oh no, I gotta go ahead and formulate a plan." So that's the second takeaway, guys: is make sure that you're getting around people who think bigger. Get around people who have the confidence and enthusiasm about entrepreneurship, about wholesaling, about real estate, or whatever it is that you're looking to do, because it is infectious, it's contagious, and you'll be surprised about what it does to your mindset. So you go to We Live, you start formulating this plan. You're like, bro, I gotta do something. I gotta get out of this job. So then what happens from there, bro?
Yeah, man. And I just want to say, like, now that you said that about Christina, because this is all confirmation for me, and really humbling to be on this live right now, because one of the things she was saying, she was like, like she was trying to get me to realize the consequence of me not thinking bigger. She was like, you know how many people need to hear your story? And I'm like, what? My story? You know what I mean? I'm thinking at the time, like, what about my story? It's pretty effed up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm mad about it, right? Like, what I wasn't thinking of, like, a vision of impact. I wasn't thinking about how other people need us to succeed. It's not about us at the
That's
end of the
right.
day.
Foo,
You know what I mean?
you gave me
So
goosebumps.
for me, it's
Facts.
like, now this has all come full circle, and and that's why I openly share myself. You know what I mean? That's why I don't have anything to hide about my story. It's like, yo, I've always had the take me or leave me type of attitude. You know what I mean? So it's like, but going back to your question, bro, it's like I was like, okay, I got to get a plan. I had some high level conversations somehow. I don't want to say finessed, but just opportunity aligned. And I got to go to dinner, like literally dinner, with what I saw as like godfathers of wholesaling, still are, and they're right, Chris Jefferson, Antoine Campbell, Max, I'm with my boy Dave's there, my boy Marcus down the southeast. He was like, yeah, you invited me to the dinner, and I'm just like in awe. I'm like, what? I'm at dinner. I just came because I knew Christina was speaking. Now I'm at a sushi restaurant with these guys, and I'm just looking like, wow. Like, for me, that was such a big revelation to me, because I saw brothers that look like me winning, bro, winning on their terms, getting rich with in Jordan jumpsuits, Adidas track suits, doing events, people coming around from all over the country to see them on stage, right? So I get back to my room, and I'm just like looking at the ceiling, bro, like, what is going on right now? Like, how I'm trying to process all this and put it together. So I get back to St. Louis on just a different. I formed a little mastermind group of guys I met there, and we were on WhatsApp, and we were staying close. Shout out to the Go Getters Mastermind. We still got to get back together, but that was like my initial like experience with masterminding and some level of accountability. Then so I get back to St. Louis, go full force. Then I go down to Ground Zero, and I meet
Mm-hmm.
you, the wonderful Aaron Bevins, my brother. I meet other people in the Superhuman campaign that was just forming, and
Mm-hmm.
I joined the Superhuman campaign, and that was that was a total trajectory shift for me, because that's what I needed. I had a plan or had an actionable goal, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the plan or accountability and the environment to support that.
So let's talk about this. So now we start to get a little juicy as we wind down, because I wanna make sure that we capture this. This is some of the
Mhm.
most exciting stuff. Up till now, you've done probably 10, 15 deals. You have experience. We meet and we hit it off right away. I
Yep.
remember we went and had steak,
Yep.
and I was talking with you the whole time. I just couldn't get enough of the story. I don't even
Yep.
think I ate but a few bites of my steak, because I was like asking you all these questions, like, bro, do you mind if I ask you about it? And you were like, yeah, yeah. I was like, man, this is one of the most. I was like, Bryson Duval is one of the most self-aware people I have ever. I've said this every all the time since we've met. And then you hop into the Superhuman campaign. A year, how long did it take you from joining the Superhuman campaign until you quit your job?
So that had to be like February was ground. Yeah, at the end of February. So
Yeah,
I guess like really my first. I think I missed the call. Did I miss the call for March?
I think you
I
did.
don't
I
think
think
I
you did.
officially. I was like in the Facebook and engaged with everyone, but I don't think I was
Yeah.
actually because I don't know what happened. I was like, "Dang, these people are strict. I missed the call. I can't even get into the accountability group." Like, dang, I
Wait,
guess I.
Kimberly, she cut you off.
Oh, I was like, bro, I was like, oh, this is
Yo,
for
I don't know
real,
why that's
dog.
so funny to me.
Yo, I was like, yeah, I left
Kimberly
San
deleted your
Antonio
tail,
like,
bro.
bro, they're like, nah, bro, you gotta wait till next month. So I'm like, wow, this is not a game, bro. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll wait till. So I think I actually officially got into the campaign in April, and I left my no, it had to be March then, because I feel like I had two full months in there before I left my job.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
But either way, yeah. So about 3 months really to from the time I joined to the time I left my job.
I wanna bring this up because this is one of my favorite parts about your story, and that's that, again, guys, the power of proximity, right? I remember you being on a call for accountability, and it came your turn, and you said that you were considering quitting your job, and I remember you were so nervous, bro. And I remember asking you, I was like, Bryson, I don't understand. I personally don't understand your nervousness, because you're already showing that you're matching your income part-time to what you're doing full-time. The numbers make sense. But for you, there were deeper read. The job meant something, and what was it that made you so nervous about quitting, your full-time job and going full-time into wholesaling real estate?
Yeah, so I mean anybody that asked me this, like,
Hey,
it
Jarrell says
wasn't
I was on that call. That,
my man Jarrell, Mr. Keys. Um the first of all, the job meant something to me. I think I was attaching it to having a deeper meaning with my family as well, because
mm,
it's like they had walked with me through so much, and hell and high water, consequences, jail visits, lawyer meetings, so many different things that I
mm,
put them through. So that job was a symbol of security and
yeah,
doing the right thing to me.
that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
I
remember
attached
that.
that level of meeting, and where it was like it wasn't financial. It was just like,
Mm,
I didn't want to disappoint my family again. I didn't want to
yeah,
disappoint myself again. You know what I
yeah.
mean? unless I
Yeah.
really felt like I could hit the ground rolling and going. But that's a part of it. And my family completely supported my decision. I had evidence to support it, and they're like, "Yo, cool, you're doing well, you're still happy, you're still clean, you're still in recovery, doing your thing. Hey, do your thing." So I was still nervous. I in the bottom of all that, the nervousness was just producing to being disciplined to myself and
Yeah.
honoring my commitments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was scary. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, I think I will commit to it. I think I can. I want
Yeah.
to.
I,
So
I, I I love that though, because I see this all the time, even with mentees that I have now, Bryson, that, and by the way, y'all, in case you're wondering, I was a, some might call me a bad influence. I was like, Bryson, if you don't quit this doggone job, bro. But
absolutely.
but I also remember because I want to make a point here. I remember, and again, guys, this is the power of community. I remember when Bryson quit the job, he was still nervous. He was still nervous after he quit the job, but the reception he was met with on the call when he quit that job, the love that we showed this man was unmatched. And it was actually, for me, in that community, it was one of my vindication moments, that all of the work that was going into that community, all of the love that was going into that community, was playing off. That was one of my favorite moments of all time, when Bryson Duvall says, I did it, I quit my job. And here's why it means so much to me. And I've been told this story at least 20, 30 times, to help other people, Bryson. And the reason why is because what I find is, even though the stories and circumstances surrounding the job are different with every person, Bryson,
Hmm.
that, when it's time to quit, the emotional attachment to the job is just that. It's less financial than it is an emotional
Absolutely.
attachment. There's
Hmm.
a meaning behind the steady paycheck, and oftentimes it's not the number on that check. It's, for you, that job was a totem. That job was a totem that
Absolutely.
symbolized something regarding your stability, regarding how far you had come. So to let go of that
Absolutely.
job, you didn't want to let the family down, and the people in your circle down. For other people, it's a measure of security. Just to know that that
Hmm.
money is going to come in. Sometimes there's benefits there, but it goes against their emotion. It's basically, it's going against the logic, and the logic is, yo,
Absolutely.
you're making more money part-time than you are on your full-time gig. So what
Yeah,
would
it's
happen
costing
if
you
you
money. It's
it's
costing you
costing
money
you
to be at
money.
your job. Yeah.
It's costing you money to be at your job, as opposed to just making you money.
Yep.
So share with me what it was that allowed you to say, no, I'm worth it. I'm gonna bet on me. I am gonna take this risk, because it's still a risk. Even though
Still a risk.
even though you have the logic, you have people supporting you. Share with me something that somebody who's listening to this right now, who's gonna be there soon, or maybe is there right now, needs to hear before they realize, listen, you have to quit that. You're at a point where you need to quit that job and you need to go full time. What was it that helped you, and that you could share with someone here before we get onto some of the other victories you've had in business?
Yeah, so I mean, for me going into and I do, whether bad or good, I think for me it's productive, but I'm a hopeful person. I do view myself as an optimist, but at
Mm,
the same time, I think I always go first, and any decision is what's the worst that could happen. I really like look at that. I
mm,
write that down. I'm
mm-hmm.
like, okay, so the worst thing
Powerful.
that happens, worst possible thing that happens is that I just go and get another job. Just like I got this one, I
Mm,
probably could get another one. Maybe not at the
mm-hmm.
same company. So and it's like, and what did I lose by leaving? So yeah, I get I lose this ability, yes, but I looked back at all my HUDs and all my assignment fees. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I had to visualize that. Like I had to internalize it. I knew I'd made the money, but like I really had to write this down to say, like, okay, I'm losing a net of freaking $1,200 a paycheck. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I was getting
Mm-hmm.
paid, so I'm like, okay, so all I really need to do is just do a deal a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just got to focus on
Ooh,
doing
I
a
love
deal a
that. I
month.
love that. You
You
broke it
know,
down to the practicality of it
I
and
had
said,
to.
listen, so this means I need to be doing a deal a month. By the way, I think this is very important for everybody listening. Bryson, you had money in the bank before you quit, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
That's so important,
So
y'all.
important. Oh my
He
God.
didn't just he didn't just say, "Man, I believe in this wholesale thing. I'm done." He thought about it. He planned it. He looked at the practicality of it and said, "Okay, this is the game plan." Remember what he said, yo. When he had already started game planning whenever he was leaving the We Live event. He was already saying, "I got to concoct a game plan." He had a game plan. He had a community that was backing him. He had built out what he needed to do in order to make up for the income, and he had proof of concept. He said he was able to look back at HUDs that he had already closed while he was on the job,
Mm-hmm.
and that gave him the confidence to be able to leave the job. That's
Yep.
so powerful. That's so powerful. Okay, so let me ask you this, B, because I want to ask you some more questions.
Yep.
Real quick, because we gotta start wrapping up in just a little bit. How long did it take you between quitting your job and hitting your first six figures wholesaling real estate?
Right at about 6 months.
6 months, baby. I
Yeah,
have the
five,
number. I
five,
have the
six. Yeah,
number.
five.
I have
Yeah,
the
about
number
5 months.
instilled in my heart. I use this all the time. I share it with people. Listen, y'all, $37,000 salary a year. And in 6 months, my man hit six figures. I will never ever forget that day, man. I will never forget that day,
Me
man.
either, bro. Me either.
So I absolutely love it. Here's one of the things I want to talk about really quick that we
Mm-hmm.
had planned, Bryson. So you hit six figures in your first 6 months wholesaling real estate, getting leaving your job. I want to talk about this. The status of your business now, man. If you had a license to brag, I mean, give us an idea of what your business is doing now. Being that you're what, about a year and a half quitting the job, you hit six figures, guys. By the way, y'all want to know what that looks like? Y'all want to know what that looks like? If you do six figures, let's call it six months. To do six figures in 6 months, that's $100,000 divided by six. You got to average $16,600 every single month for every single month for 6 months average. That's nothing to sneeze at. I want to ask those of you here. I love asking this question. Would $16,000 a month in your business every single month for 6 months change your life? Now, the thing about it is that Bryson could not have done that if he stayed at the job,
Mm-mm.
right? So I love it. I love it. So give me an idea. You've been quit your job about a year and a half, going on
Yep.
2 years. What's business look like now, bro?
It's good. I just want to add to that point is that during that time, it's like that's me on the dialer 4 hours a day and spending $500 in marketing every single month. 500. That's it.
Ooh, this is how
You
I
know me.
encourage
You know
everybody.
me. You know,
Yep.
man, I'm frugal, dog. You know
I,
me.
I call I call him Bryson Frugal McDougal, man.
So, hey, bro, it was I didn't have the knowledge of very sophisticated practices in marketing. I knew pull some lists, recycle data, beat the hell out of the data, keep on recycling, call consistently, and
David,
yeah,
hold on one second,
that's
Bryson. David, he just broke it down. It's cold calling, 3 to 4 hours a day. It was just
mhm,
him alone, and
mhm,
and and the expenses were about $500 a month in expenses. He was doing basically
Yep.
everything on his own, and
Yep.
even though you were doing 4 hours, about 4 hours of dialing, you're pretty much
Hmm.
working in your business all day and night,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because you're still
Doing
running
something. Yeah.
appointments, you're still doing
Right.
follow-ups, you're working with transaction coordination. And by the way, y'all, we're gonna get some more value. We're wrapping up here, but this is what I encourage most people to do. Be in your business and learn your processes. Be frugal. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money on all these softwares in order to be successful if you just have the pain, the discipline to deal with
Hmm.
and this is what Bryson, I'm about to share something real quick, man, because this is one of the things that you have mastered, that most people, if they would just master this one thing, they could be richer in the next 6 months than they could have ever imagined. And that's this. Here's one thing that Bryson has, y'all. This is something that I have. We are not inherently special, but it looks like this. If you just have the discipline to deal with the pain of boredom, if you can just deal with the pain of boredom for 6 to 12 months, that 6 to 12 months will change the entire trajectory of your whole life. But most people simply cannot deal with the pain of boredom, right? And this is why I'm so glad that you shared your story, Bryson, because you know pain.
Facts.
You know pain. So for you to be on the dialer compared to what you had already experienced, it's like I done been through some things, but this is
Let's
nothing. This
run
is
it.
Kate. This is
Let's
Kate.
run it. Let's
All
run it.
right. I
But
love it. I
yeah,
love so
now
so
now
so go ahead. Talk
now
talk to
right
me. Talk to
now,
me.
we got I'm actually bringing on young gentlemen in acquisitions, probably starting at the beginning of the week following next week. So just got to get things in motion there. So yeah, man, I will probably, with what we have in escrow right now, set to close right now, we'll end the year right around 600.
Oh my goodness. Holy
Yeah.
moly. Listen, y'all. Listen, my man, this story that he's telling y'all is recent. This is recent. And to do 600K in a year, y'all want to know what that looks like at scale? I'm going to show y'all. 600,000 divided by 12 means you need to average just about around $50,000 a month. Guys, he was doing that. He was doing less than that in a year. In a year, he was doing 37K salary. And that's you know what I mean? So and now a month, what he does in 4 weeks is what his business was doing in a year, y'all. And guys, there is nothing, and by the way, I'm not saying this to undermine the stature of the human in front of us, but I say this to encourage you guys that there's nothing inherently special and gifted about Bryson, just like there's nothing inherently special or gifted about me. But you know
Right.
what? One thing we know how to do, we know how to sit our butt down and grind. The day-to-day boring process turns into the really fun, exciting sitting on a podcast saying I'm about to make $600,000 this year.
Yep.
I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you guys. Bryson, talk to me. The biggest deal you've ever closed. Let's flex on them. If you had a license to flex, give me the biggest deal you've ever closed. What's that number?
Uh, Last May, so about a year after I left the job, we closed our biggest deal, assigned it for $90,000 even.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
90,000. No, I
yeah.
couldn't stand you when you hit me with that, bro. I couldn't stand it. And listen, y'all, the reason why I couldn't stand Bryson when he told me that he said, Aaron, he's like, Aaron, I like, don't go telling nobody yet because it hasn't closed yet. You remember
Like,
that,
hey,
bro?
bro, like, chill, chill. No Facebook post, dog. I know how you get excited. Don't do me like that, bro.
He was like, bro, it hasn't closed yet. He hasn't closed yet. So he said, but I remember I was so excited, and the reason why I was so angry was because my biggest deal to date still is $75,000 deal. And Bryson, 1 year after closing, he after quitting that job, closes his biggest deal for $90,000. You understand me? My
That's
goodness, my
beautiful.
goodness. So, Bryson, this has been I love it. This is the first of this series. I want you to take us home and drill down now really quick because I only have like literally 5 minutes. Two skill sets that you've learned along this journey, being 2 years having quit your job and now absolutely crushing the game. Two skill sets that every entrepreneur must learn that you've learned along the way that you could share. Go ahead and hit us with it, bro.
Yeah, bro. These are two skills that I'm still actively working on,
Hmm.
but I wish I was more intentional about them earlier. And I think it relates to any type of business, any industry, but my two are sales and leadership. Yeah.
Whoo! I like the way you think, bro. You're very similar to me. So can you just really quick, just expound on it really quick? Why sales? Why leadership?
Well, sales, like, you can have a six-figure business with relatively no leadership skills and just be able to do it just on
That's
sales
right.
skills. I mean, I've
That's right.
done that, so I know for a fact it's true for me. So
That's right.
if you can literally, if you didn't know any type of sophisticated marketing strategies, sophisticated data management strategies, anything, if you just focused on making offers every single day, talking to enough people, following up with them, low key, I mean, six figures, you probably could run up seven figures, honestly, with very little leadership. It would just be very miserable. I'll
That's
say
right.
that much. You
Yep.
can do it, but you would be probably on your way to like some type of therapist, some type of mental health evaluation on the way. You could do it though.
Now I believe it.
Possible.
I believe in that. But why do you say that? Why are you saying, listen, you can hit seven figures being a solo dolo in this business, take all that money, but you're going to be miserable. I agree with you, but why is that?
Yeah, I mean that's something that I didn't focus on at the beginning. I wish I would have focused more on with the end in mind.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, what do I want
Hmm.
my business? What do we house buyers? What do we want for keys to freedom to look like 5 years from now? I'm just like, I
That's right.
need to run up a bag, dog. That's all I
Yep.
knew.
Yep. Yep.
So, but it's like, how do I remember, several conversations that we had, and you would ask me things about like, what's your ideal life though? You know, you
Mm,
said,
mm,
what does your ideal wife look like?
mm,
Different things that were painting the picture. And I was like, wait, what? Like nobody's ever asked me that.
mm.
And it's about like, that involves like, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis for you inside your company? What does
That's right.
that look like on, and honestly, not looking like that and putting leadership first and trying to grow out that side on and helping the scalability has, honestly, I should be at 1.2 this year if I would have done it
Yeah.
that way, low
Yeah.
key. Like, so
Hmm.
people ask me and I'm like low key kind of mad to say it's 600. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm kind of like, bro, it's kind of like, I hate to say it, I'm grateful, but I'm like, bro, like, we're operating at half capacity here. Not even
Hmm.
that. You know what I
Yep.
mean? We're like
Yep.
25% of at capacity of what we should be doing right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I say leadership, and that's what I'm so focused on now: hiring, developing my team, leading my team, leading from the front and establishing those habits. Because, and I say leadership because you can start working on your leadership even when you're just one person in your business,
That's right.
which I didn't have. If you can establish the habits of a leader while you're just a solopreneur, it's going to be so much easier to get somebody to follow that vision, because that's
That's
the
right.
behavior standard of your company. But it wasn't mine. Tracking and consistent
Hmm.
training, doing things with a consistent schedule, doing all that stuff were habits that I had to develop once I started making a lot of money. But also, the responsibility starts at the money comes up, then you have more transactions, there's more stuff going on in your business that's pulling at your focus other than just being in sales.
Yep.
Now you're
Yep.
planning marketing, talking to people, service providers, meeting with investors, developing other things, whatever else you're working on. And if you don't have that foundation, honestly, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for me to get there, and that's why it's delayed in our hiring and building out the team. So
I
it's
love it.
critical. Leadership is the way to scale efficient, I should say, scale in a healthy manner where you're enjoying the process and can enjoy, you know, other people around you and everything, and have that atmosphere in your company. So both cool.
I love it. I love it. And y'all, in case you're wondering why Bryson is so emphatic whenever he says leadership, is because, look, remember the difference between an S quadrant business and a B quadrant business. A S quadrant business or a specialist is somebody who owns a business that they still have to work in. So what happens if they break their legs and they break their hands? They're in a car accident. Well, if they're not working in their business, they're not making money. So what Bryson is saying is that with now working on his leadership, Bryson is looking to get to the point where he can be a B quadrant business owner, meaning where he can own a system that other people work for him. So not only is he making the money that he wants, but he has the time freedom he wants to be able to go on to a new venture, to be able to go on an adventure, to be able to grow and live his life and not just work in a business. So Bryson, this has been absolutely incredible. I'm so glad we did this, bro. I feel like we did it the right way this time, bro.
Definitely.
We did it the right way this time. We really got to extract a lot of nuggets and takeaways. I love your story. You're one of my favorite humans, bro. I'll continue to say that for as long as I live. And with that said, bro, thank you for hopping on this. We definitely went a little bit over time, but I think the people are appreciative.
Good. Only 10 minutes, bro. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Especially cool knowing us. With that said, y'all, until next time, it's been another live with your boy Aaron Bevins, the millennial entrepreneur, and the one and only Mr. Bryson Duval, aka the Don of St. Louis. Until next time, y'all.
We made it, that's facts, ayy. We the greatest, that's facts, ayy. Prices raising, that's facts, ayy. That's right. But we paid it, that's facts, ayy. I did. They hate it, that's facts, ayy. Cause we changing, that's facts, ayy. We did. Can't blame them, that's facts, ayy. Cause we made it, that's facts, ayy. Cherry on top, that's a goat, yeah. Where you been, I wanna know, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. Greatest story ever told, yeah. I know you wanna look up for this. Baby, let me turn you up a bit. You said you made it through hell and back. Give me the scoop, baby, tell the facts. Gonna be fine.